Finnegans Wake, Book 3, Episode 3. Lowly longly a whale went forth. Pure yawn lay low. On the mead of the hillock lay, heart-soul dormant, mid-shadowed landscape shape, brief wallet to his side, and arm loose, by his staff of citron briar, tradition's stick pass on. His dream monologue was over, of course, but his drama parapolylogic had yet to be a fact. Most distressfully, but my dear, how successfully, to wail he did his locks of a lucan tinge, rich, ripely rippling, unfilleted, those lash-betasselled lids on the verge of closing time, whilst ooze of his sidewise open mouth. The breath of him even so languishing as the princeliest treble treacle or lychee chew-chow purse goodbye. Yawn in a semi-swoon lay a wailing, and who? What helpings of honey full, swoot head, few, which ear-piercing dulcitude. As were you supposed to go and push with your blunt blank pin, in hand, up into his flesh has plush, cushionettes of some chubby, boy-bold love of an angel. When as the buzzer brings the light brigade, keeping the home's fires burning, so on the cheering call themselves came at him, from the west borders of the East Midlands, 3 kings of 3 sweets and a crowner, from all their cardinal parts, along the amber way where Brosna's furzy, to lift them they did, senators 4, by the first quaint squeak of the gloaming, and they hopped it up the mountainy molehill, traversing climbs of old times gone, by of the days not worth remembering, inventing some excuse thems. And he sought, having a 7-ply sweat of night blues moist upon them, fee fo fuas chla agala chi palula ruadmini, afeared themselves were to wonder at the class of the crossroads puzzler. He would likely be length by breadth nonplussing his thickness, ells upon ells of him, making so many square yards of him, one half of him in Con's half, but the whole of him nevertheless. In Ovenmore's 5 quarters, there would he lay, till they would him descry, spansel down upon the blossomy bed, at one full stretch amongst the dayfully down-dillies, the flowers of narcosis forfettering his footlights, a hollow hedge of wild spuds hovering over him, epicures waltzing with garden fillers, Puritan shoots advancing to Aran chiefs, fo, the meteor pulp of him, the seamless rainbow peel, agala, his belly void of nebulos with his never-stop navel palula, and his veins shooting melanite phosphor, his cream-to-custard comet's hair, and his asteroid knuckles, ribs and members, ruidimini, his electro-latiginous twisted entrails belt. Those 4 claymen clomb together to hold their sworn star-chamber quarry on him, for he was ever their quarrel, the way they would see themselves, every bug his bodiments atop of any wom, her notion, and the meat of their nog was worth 2 of his morning. Up to the Esker ridge it was, Mallinger parish, to a mead that was not far, the sun's rest first clettered, Senator Gregory seeking spoor through the deep time field, Senator Lyons trailing the wavy line of his partitioned footsteps. Something in his blisters was telling him all along how he had been in that place one time. Then his recordership, Dr. Shunadur, Tarpey, caper chasing after honourable sleep, hot on the aniseed and up out of his prompt corner old Shunny, Shunny MacDougall, the hiker, in the rear of him on the run, to make a quorum, roping their ass he was, their sky-grey globe-trotter by way of an afterthought, and by no means legless either, for such sprouts on him they were that much uneven. It was tumbling he was, by 4 lengths within the ball of a mascot Cussius, Cussclay, Patsy-Watsy, like the capper in the Capices, the big ass. To hear was his unaided ears, the harp in the air, the bugle Diana blowing. Wild as wild. The mocking-bird whose word is misfortune, so 'tis said, the bulbul down, the wind. The proto was traipsing through the tangle then. Matthew Walker, godson's goddess far, deputizing for gossipocracy, and his station was a few perch on the weather side to the knoll. As knock it was from the no place unless there, how and ever, that he proxtended aloof upon the ether, mesmer's manuum, the hand-making silence. The buckos beyond on the lee then stopped wheresoever they found their standings, and that way they set ward about him, doing obedience, nod, bend, bow, and curtsy, like the watchers of prospect upholding their broad-awake probers' hats on their firm heads. The travelling court on its findings circuiting that person in his falling, and a crack-cratuar of stenogers they made of themselves, solons and sycamoras, all told with their hurts and daemons clubs, not even to the seclusion of their beast by them. That was the old trick of the pack. Trump, and no friend of carrots. And what do you think, who should be laying there above all other persons? For against them only yawn, all of us brawl. He was laying too amongst the poppies, and I can tell you something more than that, dear writer, profoundly as you may believe to it. He was asleep, and it was far more similar to a satrap. He lay there with unctuous beauty all surrounded, the poser, or for what all I know, like Lord Lumen coaching his preferred constellations in faith and doctrine, for old Matt Gregory. 'Tis he and the star menagerie, Marcus Lyons and Lucas Metcalf, Tarpey and the Mac that never forgave the ass that lurked behind him, Johnny Hossaline. More than their good share of their 5 senses, ensorcelled you would say themselves were fuming censor, the way they could not rightly tell their heels from their stools, as they couched down a Marmaluju by his cubical crib, as question time drew nighing and the map of the soul's groupography rose in relief within their quarterings, to play tops or kites or hoops or marbles. Gertrude, gawking on him for the issuance of his pneume, and soft noising one of them to another one, the boquas quizzes, and it is what they began to say to him, tetrahedrally len, the master's what way was he? He's given the wee bairn, yearn has lived. Yewer? Why that, my leader? Wisher, is he boozed or what, Alana? Or his wind's from the wrong cut, says Ned of the Hill. Lesson. Why so, and speak up, do you hear me, you sir? Oh, he's rehearsing someone's funeral. Wished. Out of that, hubbers up, and as they were spreading abroad on their octopods, their drifter nets, the chromous gleamy signers, nets and no lie, there was word of assonance being soft-spoken among those quartermasters. Get busy, kid. Chirpy, come now. The present hospices is a good time. I'll take on that chap. For it was in the back of their mind, temptive listener, how they would be spreading in quad to a liberal their azure-spotted, fine attractable nets, their nans and nets, from Matt Senior to the thurible mystagogue after him, and from thence to the neighbour, and that way to the prisony donkey man and his crucifers cowder. And in their minds years back slippers, so it was. Slipping beauty, how they would be meshing their way when he rose to it, with the plankton at play about him, the quivers of scaly silver from the clutches of chromes, of the highly lucid Spanishing gold, whilst as hour gave way to mazing hour, with yawn himself keeping time with his thripped tongue, to ope his blurber's lips he would, a let-out classy, the way myrrh of the moor and molten moon mist would be melding mellifond into his mouth. Why? Before you. Echo? How sweet the answer makes. After where's in the land of lions odour? Friends, first if you don't mind, name your historical grounds. This same prehistoric bough, 'tis the orangery. I see, very good now. It is in your orangery. I take it you have your letters. Can you hear me, you, sir? Throws ends for my darling Tippet. So long aforetime, can you hear better? Billions for God sends for my darling, dearling one. Now to come near his own, I would like to raise my deuterous point audibly touching this. There is this maggers, I am told by our entrepreneur, Hannah Esselus, that there are fully 606 ragwords in your malherbal magus landegage, in which world one rhymes alpem, and there is resin in all roots for monarch, but yave, haste not one pronounceable tium, not blows in all the volumes of tartal arc to signify majestate, even provisionally. No reader, rhoda, or torpentine path, or hallucinating via, nor Aurelian gape, nor sunken root, nor gross grown trek, nor crime-slaved cruxway, and no moorhen's cry or mooner's plank gang, there to lead us to hope and haven, is such the under derivator, case matter messio, frankly magis midges, eneretur mimus hoc intelligo. How c'est mal pronounceable Tartagliano performances. Vous n'avez pas dans votre bouche provinciale Mousseau, je m'incline, mais moi j'ai trouvé la clé dans le champ. Et Shamnam, pas de valeur, come on. Hep there, comment, ce n'a pas de valeur. Vous tête dans les jambes. Vous êtes inclining and talking about the Messiah's O'Clover, and who's to your trifling were you? Trinithan Partnick, Dieudonné, have you seen her? Tibet, my tactile O. Are you and your father, Rick, lonely one? The same. 3 persons. Have you seen my darling only one? I am so old. What are you shivering about, ultramontane like a hoon? Is there cold on ye, Dorophobian? Or do you want your primary schoolman? The woods of Fockloot, O Miss Padriches. Wish the wild grey lake. The duck is rising and you'll rake that stand of plover. I know that place better than anyone. Sure, I used to be always over there on the 4th day at Mike's place. Tien and Ogra, my little grey home in the west. In or about Mayo, when that long dog gave tongue, and they coursing the marches, and they straining at the leech. Tortoise shell for a guinea gould, burb, 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 follow me up, Tuckalog. That's the place for the Clare oysters, Poldoody, County Conway. I never knew how rich I was, like another story in the Zodone of the Zephyros, strolling and strolling, carrying my dragoman. Meads marvel thus with unpronounceable tale along the shore. Do you know my cousin, Mr. Jasper Dougal, that keeps the anchor on the mountain, the parson's son, Jasper of the Tons, Pat whatever your name is? Dude and I dude, the wolves of Falklet, by what do you call me? Do not fling him a jig to the 2 wolves. Tersafia, and that's a good one, right enough. Wolves no less. One moment now, if I foreshorten the bloss on your bleather, encroachment spells erosion. Dunlin and turn stir agours where, how, and when, best as to burial of carcass, fuselage of dump and committal of noisance. But since you invocate oysters for the trailing of vixens, I would like to send a cormorant aground this blue lagoon. Tell me now this. You told my learned friend rather previously, a moment since, about this mound or bough. Now I suggest to you that ere there was this plague burrow, as you seem to call it, there was a burial battle, the boat of millions of years. Would you bear me out in that, relatively speaking, with a jack-staff jerking at her penny ladders? Why not, and sizing a fair sail nosed about that kind? The pourquoi pas bound for Weiss to wasteland. The 4 masters barquentine. Webster says our ship that ne'er returned. The Frenchmen say I was an orange boat. Here's a boat, you see him, the both how you see is they. Draken of Danemark. Sacked it or ate it, what halloo, spake up loud. Couch, cottage, ringbow, Duncan. Beseek the ruins and see the long urn. I'll mourn away when you hear the gang go on, and meet Nautsun, SSOS Wallum Night, according to lay Piers, Nosker. The raven flag was out. The slaver, I trow upon good, Jordan Scaper, Goods Barnet and trusty man. Crouch low, you pigeons 3. Say, call that girl with the tan tress on. Call Wolfhound, Wolf of the Sea. Fulsure. Very good now. That folklore straight from the ass's his mouth. I will crusade on with the parent ship, weather profiting, far away for those green hills, a station, Ireton tells me, bona fide for keel tappers, now to come to the midnight middy on his Levantine ponenta. From Daneland sailed the ox-eyed man, now mark well what I say. Magnus spade beard, corsets crosser, Welcher perfidy, a destroyer in our port, signed to me with his bailing scoop, laid bare his breast paps to give suck, to suckle me ecce hagios Christman. O Jesus fluid, says the poisoned well, foot fishy the first, hooch copper's ankle at the naval manoeuvres. Hep hello there, Bill of Old Bailey, was this lad why the pups? Hunkaloo's child our head, Easter held, it's his lost chance. Emania wear him well. Hey, did you dream you were eating your own tripe? A kushla? That you tied yourself up? That wry-necky fix? I see now, we move in the best circles, grim barb and panther cruiser. You took the words out of my mouth, a child's dread. For a dragon vice father, ill cloud encompass us. You mean you lived as Milky at the Lyceum, Quad, while you learned, Volp, to howl yourself wolf-wise, Dib, do your best, maybe not. I am dobbling like old booze courteous, like the cubs of after me and Zeebs, the whole totem pack, vuck, and vuck to them from Robertson's shield. Sense and goose bills, the animal jangs again. Find the Fingal carriers, hear howl me wiseacre's hat, till I die of the milkman's lupus. What Wolfgang, woa, talk very slow. Hail him heathen, heal him holy stone, Corsa, changed child, Elders endel earth. A cataleptic mythophalic, was this totem fulcrum est, ancestor you howled in, dies irae where no spider webbeth, or anno mundi, boards plied in Skift Street. Be fair, Chris. Dream on a non-day I sleep, I dreamt of a some-day, of a one day I shall wake, may he have now. Of here filled me, sin flowed, fear berfetched Christ. I have your Tristish now, which recurs in 3 times, the same differently there is such a free story which obtains of him, coming down from the asphalt to the concrete, from the human historic brute, Finns and Fenian, ocean-clived, to the same vulcanized, he'll serve from yours, Mr. Tupling, tune of mourning the heights, with his lavest flow and his rambling undergrowths. Would he reoccur at Horham as old Romeo Rogers, in city or country, with your sure or by, with or from an or you know, the differentiabus as Brack Bowel in Aberbramisar. Sierra, we speak of Gun the father, and in the locative. Bap. O a tad, helig babau, whom certain orbits ascertant, the whom place of Civitas I, Smithwick Wonder, Caledon Solemn Mass, Childers Argos and Duthless, while I am advised he might in a sense be both, nevertheless, every man like myself suffix it to say, Abrahamsk and Brook Bear, by him it was done, Babka, by me it was gone into, to whom it will be believed, Mashama. I am afraid you could not heave ashore one of your own old stepstones, barn, over a stumble-down wall here in Huddlestown, to this classic Nocturne night, but it and they will binge much as freshes. Of the Doss house back, over race rider, in his true-to-flesh colours, either handicapped on her flat, or barely repeating himself. That is a tip trim, oldie far her now, the man I go in fear of, Tommy Terracotta, and he could be all your and my das. The brother of the founder, of the father, of the finder, of the fander, of the funder, of the first man in Ranelagh, free, Petrus and Violet Ice I am, yam, as me and Tam Tower used to jagger, pemmer it, over the house of Eddie's, Christy meaning Dogfather, Dodson, and cool and spiritus sanction. Breathe softly, auras are aureas, houses known, mead as has the orioles, piercy, white eye luscious and muddy horse broth, pig Percy Riley, but where do we get off Chistler? Halstale, Lucas and Dublin, vulva. MacDougall, Atlantic City, or his anagrass, that is, Traum and Coffin. I would go near identifying you from your Stavrotides, Jong of Mayho and the Weslarians round your Yocker hot hat, and that Mullan showy blucher you have from the worst coast of Ireland, Gilrid of the Mugd. It is of no use to you either. Johnny my donkey shot, number 4. Fix up your spread eagle and pull your weight. Hushin home to the regionals hymn and the gander of Hayden. Would ye ken a young stepschuler of psychical calligraphy, the name of Kevin, or let Otis pray, even Vaughan of his post horn, in the high street that was shewing a guinea gag. Pool pinter that found the dog human, number 1. I would suggest an illegible, down-thumbed by an illegible. If I do know, scented sages. Sometimes he would keep silent for a few minutes, as if in prayer, and clasp his forehead, and during the time he would be thinking to himself, and he would not mind anybody who would be talking to him or crying stinking fish. But I no way need you stroke oar nor your quick handles. You're too far a cock of the north there. Matty or ma, and you're due south so. South I see. You're up in Leal Ulster, and I'm free down in Eartha. This is much better. He is cured by faith who is sick of fate. The prouts who will never invent a writing there ultimately is the poeta, still more learned who discovered the reading there originally. That's the point of eschatology. Our book of kills reaches for now in so and so many counterpoint words. What can't be coded can be decoded. If an ear eye sees what no eye ear grieved for. Now the doctrine obtains. We have occasioning cause causing effects, and affects occasionally re-causing alter effects. Or I will let me take it upon myself to suggest to twist the penman's tale poster-wise, the gist of Shorn but the hand is of Semya Shorn Shim Shung. There is a strong suspicion on counterfeit Kevin, and we all remember ye in childhood's reverie. 'Tis the bells of scandal that gave tune to grumble over him, and someone between me and thee. He would preach to the two turkeys and dip all the Indians, the master of the abbey, and give gold tidings to all that are in the bronze age of your anti-pro-resurrectionism, to entrust their Easter near appearance to Bossellini's house of hatcraft. He is our scent on the firm. Now have you reasonable hesitancy in your mind about him? After 4 priest read mass, or are you in your post? Tell me Andat sans dismay. Leap, pod.